Hi everyone. I figured I would change things up a little bit and do a video this time around because most of us, depending on where you are, but I would say by now, most of us are probably confined to very limited social contact these days. And I know some of my friends who are more extroverted, it's driving them up a wall not to have as much face to face contact. I'm a little more of an introvert, but it is honestly like when I did go for a walk a couple of times earlier this last week, it was quite exciting to just see other human beings. Like, I've never been so excited to see strangers from a safe distance of across the road. So I thought maybe we would change it up and do a video message. So tomorrow, March 24th, is the new moon in Aries, and that means that both the sun and the moon will be in the sign of Aries close to each other, bringing their energies together. And the sun represents ego, personality, identity. The moon represents our emotional, nurturing, intuitive side. So those different aspects of ourselves are going to be coming together in the sign of the warrior. So Aries is a sign that is all about confidence, strength, power, ambition, action, movement, some of the things that we're kind of restricted from from experiencing in their fullness right now. But there's still ways to tap into that energy productively. So new moons are about new beginnings. This is a great time to look at what can I initiate, what can I like plow into a little bit further. So I've been digging in a little deeper with some writing projects that have been in the works for a while. And kind of like, Aries is very focused. So it's like laser focus in a little bit more. And, this is also a really good time to kind of set goals, I know it's hard for a lot of us to set goals when we don't know exactly what things are going to look like for a while. So that kind of frustrates the Aries energy. But Aries is also about courage, and can be impulsive sometimes. So this is a time for us to balance like our courage, our assertiveness, our ambition with our responsibility to the collective and to society and to each other, in order to kind of balance out like how are we being of service as warriors. And it makes me think of a book that was very popular, I think, in the mid to late 90s, called The Way of the Peaceful Warrior. It was also turned into a movie in the early 2000s. So maybe while you have some downtime, that would be a really good book to read if you can get a copy of it online, in ebook form, or a good movie to stream if you're able to. And it talks about the energy of the warrior being about our own integration of different sides of ourselves, not always about our kind of less evolved, egotistical, demanding, dominion expressions of that warrior energy. So Mars, the warrior, ruler of Aries. Aries is also very protective. So this is a time for us to look at what sacrifices can we make to protect ourselves and also others around us. Aries is very much like, let me jump into battle to do what's right, fight for what's right and protect other people. So we can use that new moon in Aries energy. And there's a meditation at the bottom of this email, as usual. I don't really have too many events to announce. Many things have been postponed, as I'm sure you all are aware. So there were some classes, some reading events that have kind of been put on the back burner, but I will definitely be sharing spreading the word when these are rescheduled. There's a date for a follow-up intuitive Thursday in June, and I'll have the details on that probably by the next email. I don't have that quite set up yet on Eventbrite, but that will be coming soon. Well, in a couple of months soon, relatively soon. So I did also want to talk about another archetype, not Mars and Aries specifically, but all of what's going on now kind of reminds me of the tarot card, the Hanged Man. It also reminds me a lot of the Tower in many ways, and I've talked about that on some of my live broadcasts. But today I'm thinking of the Hanged Man, and this is an incredibly powerful archetype relating to healing and transformation at times when we are forced to do nothing. or at times when we are forced into restriction or forced into confinement. And those are like very heavy duty words. Like, what does that even mean? So, for example, in the time, so 10 years ago, I was hit by a car as a pedestrian. Some of you have heard this story or read about it in Queen Up. And there was a span of time where I was forced to do not exactly nothing, but where the limitations on what I was able to do were much greater. And this was also a time of great intuitive development for me because I was forced to slow down, because I was forced to, I wasn't forced to meditate, but it was in my best interest to spend more of my time meditating because there wasn't a lot of other things I could do for a while. And so this was actually a time of tremendous growth. It was a time of tremendous healing, but very similar to the hangman. It's healing, growth, development, transformation that comes when we take ourselves out of our own way. And sometimes we take ourselves out of our own way and say, hey, I need to make a change because of X, Y, and Z reason. And sometimes something that seems totally random, that we didn't plan on, that we didn't ask for, that we didn't deserve, sometimes it's that kind of event that puts us in this situation where we are forced to get out of the way because other things need to happen. And I think to some extent or another, we've all kind of been forced to get out of the way of other processes that are unfolding. And the circumstances may not be pleasant. But we can look at this as what can we tune into during this time? So the Hanged Man, like I mentioned, it's very spiritual. It's very much about healing. It's about transformation. And the idea, the myth that goes along with this, the story that goes along with this, is that Odin is hanging from the Tree of Wisdom. And this was actually the depiction traditionally is that this is how people used to be hung as punishment. So Odin, the god, is hanging from the Tree of Wisdom, and a raven comes by and plucks out one of his eyes, but then gives him the gift of divination and the language of runes. So there's always a trade-off. Something is taken away, something is given. Odin is left hanging in this tree, but once he lets go and accepts the situation for what it is, he's able to transform. He's empowered, and he's able to come into greater understanding and greater wisdom. So I just want to be clear that I'm not implying that what's going on in the world right now is a good thing. That like, oh yay, this gives us a chance to meditate more. No. But this is a time when, when we have to kind of accept the things we cannot change, and how can we make the best use possible of that situation. And that's our doorway. That's our doorway through this. So the hangman is also associated with the sign of Neptune, the sign of Pisces, which is ruled by Neptune. Currently, Pisces is in Neptune and will be for a while. So it brings this energy of clearing, facing emotional wounds. Some Neptune and Pisces are kind of also known for distractions, wishful thinking, illusions. So in this stillness, we can either find great creativity, healing, empathy, and compassion, or we can get caught up in illusions and wishful thinking and fantasies and get ourselves confused and jumbled up. So that's kind of the downside of that archetypal energy. But this is an energy that helps us go deeper into our own emotional world, into our own intuitive world, but not for the sake of being selfish. It's not like, baseless navel gazing. The purpose is that we come to recognize that we are in solidarity with all living beings, with all of mankind, with all of humanity, with all of nature, with all of the environment, with all of the non-human animals. And that's very much like the wisdom of the hanged man is, once you are forced to slow down and step out of your own way, and then your world is turned upside down, there is no choice but to accept it. And in accepting it, you recognize a different perspective. You recognize how connected things are. You have greater compassion and empathy. Those are Piscean, Neptune energies. You're given greater wisdom. And that wisdom is your way out of the bind that you find yourself in. So we will find our way through this. And I just want to say that I hope that wherever you are in the country or in the world. I hope that you are well. I hope your loved ones and your family are also well. And that we, this is a time to kind of conjure up where is our creativity, where's our resilience, where's our intuition, where's our wisdom, how can we be of service? So whatever it is that has been put on hold has made space for other talents, other resources, and other ways to connect and ways to move forward. And my prayer, my hope, my wish is that we are all open to that and we remain open to that. And of course, that we remain well. Okay, take good care of yourself, and I hope to see you soon.